Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today and welcome to the Saudi Arabia and Aiib co-organized leader event to the 2021 annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. We meet today to explore the future of smart cities in the era of COVID-19 and the road ahead towards resilience and sustainability in building the smart cities of tomorrow. With fast urbanization, cities in Asia, including the Middle East, will be home to more population. COVID-19 has left vast implications for how we govern cities, how we provide healthcare, and how we consume energy. Smart cities in the era of COVID-19 will adopt technology to realize e-governance, access telehealthcare, consume green energy, and use mobility, all leading towards a resilient and sustainable urban environment of the future. In today's seminar, we're excited to discuss the concept of smart cities in the COVID-19 era, the technology solutions that are required, and case studies relevant to Saudi Vision 2030 and from the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Today's distinguished panel is honored and pleased to be attended and inaugurated with two special keynote speeches from their excellencies, Mr. Mohammed Al-Jad'an, the Saudi Minister of Finance, and Mr. Lynch, President of Aiib. His Excellency, Mr. Mohammed Al-Jad'an, is the Minister of Finance for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Governor of the Kingdom at the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank since 2016. His Excellency serves as a member of a number of international boards, including the Board of Governors for the International Monetary Fund, the Board of Governors of the World Bank, and the Board of Governors in the Islamic Development Bank. Before becoming Minister of Finance in 2016, His Excellency served as Chairman of the Capital Markets Authority in Saudi Arabia. It is my honor now to invite His Excellency, Mr. Mohammed Al-Jad'an, to deliver his opening remarks. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Osama, and very warm welcome to all joining us today. And I would like actually to personally thank the AIIB President, my dear friend, Mr. Jin, for co-organizing this event. Today, we will discuss the role of smart cities in the COVID-19 era with a focus on resilience and sustainability. Within this topic, I would like to focus my remarks on the challenges and opportunities relating to smart cities, and then I will talk about Saudi Arabia's experience in this field briefly. And the challenges, as you all know, the global population has nearly doubled over the past 50 years or so, and it is expected to reach 8 billion in the next few years. With this fast-growing global population, the need for infrastructure investment has grown significantly. At the same time, climate change is a stark reminder that infrastructure development is inseparable from considerations of sustainability and resilience. Indeed, when it comes to climate change, it is very critical to avoid one-size-fits-all approach. And the current gas crisis is a clear reminder that we must follow a more inclusive approach towards climate change, such as the circular carbon economy framework. Here, I would like to encourage the AIIB to utilize the circular carbon economy framework, which was fully endorsed by the G20 leaders in the Riyadh summit in 2020. Enhancing digital infrastructure for smart cities is critical for achieving a more inclusive and sustainable growth. We have witnessed how countries with better digital infrastructure were more resilient in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2020, the Saudi G20 presidency introduced the infrastructure technology agenda to promote the use of technology in infrastructure, with the aim of improving investment decisions over the life cycle enhancing the value for money of infrastructure projects, and promoting quality infrastructure investments for the delivery of better social, economic, and environmental outcomes. Indeed, new technologies will continue to play a prominent role in transforming and reshaping the world in a profound way. At the same time, we need to keep an open eye on its unintended consequences on inequality and to avoid the widening of the digital divide between and within countries. And I believe that the AIIB has a key role to play in this area to advance the development and shared prosperity. Turning to the case of Saudi Arabia, I'm pleased to highlight that Saudi Arabia was ranked the second globally among the G20 countries in the Digital Competitiveness Report for the year 21. The kingdom has actively invested in its digital infrastructure under its Vision 2030, including by launching the Line City in NEOM, which will leverage artificial intelligence to promote sustainability. There are also a number of initiatives aiming to enhance digital infrastructure, including under the NIDLIB program, which will develop the digital infrastructure for 35 industrial cities, focusing on the fourth industrial revolution. I believe such projects will bring optimism, not only for Saudi Arabia, but also for the region and worldwide. With this, I would conclude my remarks and thank you very much all, and you, President Jan, for being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for your remarks. It is my honor now to introduce President Jin Lynch, President of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. President Jin has led the AIIB from creation to foundation in 2015. Before being elected as the bank's first president, he led the negotiation process for the establishment of AIIB. With a remit to boost infrastructure across Asia and beyond, he was re-elected as president this year. President Jin has a rich experience across the private and public sectors and with international financial institutions. Under his leadership, AIIB has grown to 103 members and prospective members and is committed to achieve sustainability and business targets. Previously, he worked as chair of China's first joint venture investment bank and served as vice president of the Asian Development Bank and as alternate executive director for China at the World Bank and at the Global Environment Facility. Mr. President, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Mr. Mohammed Al-Jadaan, Minister of Finance of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Governor of AIIB, and Mr. Osama Al-Henaki, thank you very much for your kind words. We at AIIB greatly appreciate the strong support from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for this bank, and we are looking forward to even a more strengthened relationship among us. Good afternoon from AIIB to everyone online around the world. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the 5th lead-up event of the 2021 AIIB annual meeting, focusing on building smart cities in the COVID-19 era toward resilience and sustainability. It is a great honor to join His Excellency, Mr. Mohammed Al-Jadaan, in opening this event. Your Excellency, I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of our bank to congratulate you and your government on the recent Saudi National Day and to offer our best wishes to the people of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The theme of 2021 annual meeting of the AIIB Board of Governors is Investing Today, Transforming Tomorrow, reflecting AIIB's mission to finance infrastructure for tomorrow. I believe this theme has particular relevance to the economic shifts and future-oriented policy making that we are seeing in our Middle Eastern members, in particular, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The annual meeting is then a great opportunity to join a global conversation that explores solutions to the numerous social, environmental, and economic challenges being faced across the globe. There's no doubt in my mind that the greatest of these challenges is climate change. I would like to take this opportunity to encourage our attendees today to join our dedicated sessions on climate change at the annual meeting. This will be a conversation worth joining. So I do hope to see you virtually in our webinars from October the 26th to 28th. Aiib and its partners in the Middle East are implementing strategies to unlock new capital, new technologies, and new ways to address pressing needs to connect the Middle East, Asia, and beyond. The world has been urbanizing at an unprecedented scale and speed, and this trend looks likely to continue. Expectations of urban dwellers have changed. They expect digital technologies to improve all aspects of their lives, be it at home, at work, or in the urban environment. COVID-19 has accelerated the adoption of such technologies in the workplace, and many organizations have taken the opportunity to become more digitally mature. Cities are increasingly thinking about using new technologies to realize e-governance, accessible telehealthcare, green energy, and intelligent transport. In view of the urgent need for urban infrastructure investment and its strong alignment with Aiib's mandate, financing infrastructure for the sustainable development of cities has been identified as a key priority for our bank. Our view is such investments as distinct from sectoral infrastructure investments, as they are often multi-sectoral in nature, require spatial integration, and have strong areas impacts. We are guided by three principles laid out in our sustainable city strategy. First, client-driven. Second, outcome-driven. And third, financial viability-driven. At Aiib, we also work to ensure that all our projects, including infrastructure investment in cities, meet the very highest international environmental and social sustainability standards in line with our environmental and social framework. Our bank aims to identify and create investment opportunities and new avenues for growth in the region with a keen focus on helping clients diversify their economies while protecting both the environment and vulnerable populations. This year, we're delighted to have approved our bank's first private equity investment in the region with the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. We believe this joint partnership will enhance Aiib's exposure to the region and allow us to work with leading investments and development institutions to support the creation of much needed sustainable infrastructure in the Middle East and North Africa. And we are actively working with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to identify new project opportunities. Our projects in the Middle East are supporting our members there in diversifying and transforming their economies, be it for post-pandemic resilience, for green energy solutions, or diversifying to become a global logistics hub. We look forward to partnering with Saudi Arabia and our other Middle Eastern members to find innovative investment solutions to present-day challenges. The mandate to reduce oil dependency in the region increases the need for more capital flow into physical and social infrastructure. This is also a component of the various national development strategies announced by Saudi Arabia and other Middle East governments, with regulatory bodies actively focused on introducing investment policies conducive to providing healthy and stable returns to investors. Aligning financial flows with economic development that delivers climate objectives is the cornerstone of our bank's investment strategy. The bank will continue to play a leading role in mobilizing private capital into emerging market climate finance by helping to build the components of this ecosystem while applying a rigorous framework of best practices to its own operations. This is how we will chart a new path we call the infrastructure for tomorrow, or I4T. This is green infrastructure with sustainability, innovation, and connectivity, all intricately intertwined at its core. This is our new mission. By investing in infrastructure for tomorrow, we will unlock new capital, new technologies, new ways in which we can address climate change and connect Asia with the rest of the world. We look forward to working with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and our other members to achieve this together. I wish you all a productive session and look forward to working with you on many joint projects in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. The two keynote speeches that we just heard provide a good segue to our discussion panel today. Allow me now to welcome our esteemed panelists to the floor. Our speakers today bring a remarkable experience and unique perspectives to the discussion, given their backgrounds and mandates. If I may start with introducing Mr. Najib Haider for our first topic. Mr. Haider is leading the investment operations of banking department, responsible for the Middle East, Europe, Africa, Latin America, and Central East and West Asia. With his extensive experience of more than 27 years in infrastructure finance and corporate banking, he joined Aiib in 2016 with the primary responsibility to develop and implement the bank strategy for private capital mobilization, which was one of the bank's thematic priorities, before transferring to investment operations and becoming a Director General. Our first topic today will explore how COVID-19 has shown us the importance of modern urban centers that are powered by smart technologies and sustainable systems. Mr. Haider, what is the bank's view on the concept of smart cities in the COVID-19 era, and what are the technology solutions required?
Thank you very much, Osama. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the question. From an AIB perspective, we believe that every challenge presents an opportunity, and the COVID-19 challenge is a big one. We believe that the opportunities for smart cities in this era, COVID-19 era, are enhancing urban resilience, productivity, and sustainability. And let me focus on two fronts. So first of all, resilience. Enhanced resilience against urbanization challenges and the impacts of climate change, such as extreme weather conditions and pandemics, is one area of focus in the COVID-19 era. And the second one would be planning and managing basic city functions more effectively by intelligent use of data and digital tools to be more efficient, productive, inclusive, and sustainable. Let me give you a few examples of what I mean by these two areas of focus. So an example could be smartphone geolocation data to track and trace patients that could be suspected positive cases during a pandemic. Another example could be telehealth facilities. These are gaining popularity, especially during post-lockdown periods, and these enable online consultations and prescriptions, offsetting the load of non-critical patients at hospitals and clinics. Another example could be health information systems. These systems support central documentation of medical records from multiple sources and facilitate diagnosis with data-based patient profiling. And finally, I'd like to highlight GIS-based tracking systems that can map the demand for food during lockdowns. These ensure food and shelter for vulnerable groups in cities. So to summarize, smart cities in the COVID-19 era are about enhancing urban resilience, productivity, and sustainability. At AIB, we look forward to initiating collaborations with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in smart and green mobility, energy transition, and carbon neutrality. We are also willing to support the Kingdom through potential project operations on vocational training and youth employment, as well as technology-related capacity building. We are committed to long-term engagements that would yield comprehensive benefits for KSA in its society, economy, and environment. And as President Jin already highlighted, we're already working on projects that are in advanced stages of development and finalization in the kingdom. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Haider. Our next panelist today is Mr. Faisal Hamza, who currently serves as the Acting Deputy Minister for Investment, Attraction and Development in the Ministry of Investment in Saudi Arabia. His over 30 years of experience combines various roles in mergers and acquisitions, finance and banking, oil and gas, business development, and private equity. Welcome, Mr. Faisal, and please allow me to ask you the following question. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman announced lately the upcoming launch of the National Investment Strategy with 4 trillion riyals by 2030. Noting such an ambitious plan that could be one of the largest in the world, how much of it should we expect to be dedicated to smart cities, and which technologies are you thinking of deploying?
Good day to you all. Thank you, Osama. It's a pleasure to join you today. Within the National Investment Strategy and its implementation plan, which you will be hearing more about and more details about in the coming weeks, we have designated a large portion of our efforts to developing game-changing opportunities to offer the private sector, both local and international. We can look at these efforts from 2 angles. One would be unlocking public-private partnerships and accelerating them through the regulatory process and providing incentives if needed, which all aim at increasing private sector contribution to GDP. These projects would constitute upgrading the infrastructure in our major cities. We have smart city projects being undertaken by the private sector with government support in major cities such as Riyadh, Jeddah, Al-Khobar, Al-Ula, and the holy city of Mecca. Many of these cities will undertake massive upgrades in infrastructure, from upgrading energy grids, roads and transportation solutions, and city management services using smart city solutions. We have already undertaken a lot of upgrades to our infrastructure to enable implementation of these solutions. We plan to increase fiber optics layout, as we currently have more than 3.5 million homes connected to fiber optics, adding to our advanced position in internet penetration. We currently stand at 96% penetration in comparison to the 53.6% globally. Also, the Kingdom is one of the most developed ICT regulators in the Arab world, in addition to being the second amongst the G20 in spectrum allocation, and continued efforts in 5G deployment, as we currently stand the 4th globally in deploying 5G. With the growing urbanization rate inside and outside the Kingdom, coupled with challenges that cities face like congestion, limited housing, urban sprawl, climate change, and others, we have needed to think ahead of the time and plan more human-centered cities that increase well-being in a sustainable manner. We also have another vertical when it comes to our new cities, championed by several giga projects. The giga projects aim to create integrated economic ecosystems with smart city technology, which is a major feature of those projects. To give you just one example, let's look at NEOM, the smart city of the future. NEOM will become the benchmark of future smart cities. From the planning phase of groundbreaking innovation and design, the line is a smart city model never seen before or implemented, which gives us the opportunity to be a test bed for groundbreaking future technologies in smart city solutions. NEOM, just like the other large-scale multi-purpose investment projects that aim to transform the wider economy, are linked to Vision 2030 and also include the Red Sea project and Gidea, to mention a few. Unique in both scope and ambition, these massive developments represent some of the largest standalone projects globally across both established and emerging sectors, and offer investors an exceptional chance to redefine industries and capture market share. They will not only drive investment in infrastructure, construction, and focus sectors, whether it be future industries in NEOM, entertainment at Gidea, or tourism by the Red Sea, but also supplementary sectors like healthcare, education, 5G, mobility, crowd management, financing, retail, energy, sustainability, and the environment. I could also speak about Riyadh, but I'm sure my colleague Hatem from the RCRC will cover that in detail. Suffice to say that significant investment is being made in Riyadh that we believe will make it one of the most livable cities in the world. In summary, Vision 2030 will provide enormous opportunities in all sectors, and I'm sure that there will be synergies and spin-offs from these and similar projects that we cannot even imagine today. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Faisal. And speaking of Riyadh, allow me to introduce our next panelist, Engineer Hatem Al-Kahli, who currently serves as advisor for digital platforms and technology at the Royal Commission for Riyadh City, where he works with national government entities to build a tech and digital economy, benefiting the aspirations of the country's leadership and the capital's residents. He brings in a long experience in consulting, public advisory, and technology investment. Welcome, Mr. Hatem, and please allow me to ask you the following question. His Royal Highness, the conference also announced lately the upcoming launch of the Riyadh strategy, which is expected to grow the city's population from around 7 million today to 15 to 20 million people. With such a strategy that would reshape one of the world's most important capitals, what is Riyadh's role in the smart city strategy, and what does it mean for Riyadh to become a smart city?
Shukran, Osama. It's a pleasure and an honor to be among esteemed panelists today. Riyadh is the region's largest and fastest growing city economy. As you just quoted His Royal Highness, it's on a mission to become one of the top 10 city economies in the world, home to more than 15 million residents by 2030. This is a continuation. Riyadh has already transformed from a small village into an economic and political powerhouse that has grown 60 times in 60 years. Now, Riyadh is on a journey to become a model for the future of cities, built on an ambitious plan enabled through diversity, passion, and vision for its people. We will define the new era of urban living for the new millennia around sustainability, livability, and a beacon of opportunity. Riyadh's smart city plan is the underpinning. This is where technology meets exemplary governance to translate and support the city's urban living code to a resident-centric experience, whether we're talking about the diversity and rich lifestyles, to the continuous city to resident engagement programs, and a satisfying livelihood for everyone.
Thank you, Engineer Hatem, and it's very exciting to hear about Riyadh and what's coming up, and also from Riyadh to another upcoming destination, Saudi Arabia, where I'm pleased to welcome our next panelist, Mr. Gregory Surabian, who currently serves as the Executive Director for Investment at the Red Sea Development Company in Saudi Arabia. Mr. Surabian is a commercial real estate and capital markets practitioner with more than 10 years of experience across real estate and lodging, private equity, development, and investment banking. Welcome, Mr. Surabian, and please allow me to ask you the following question. The Red Sea is a major Vision 2013 project that has been well positioned as a destination of regenerative tourism. When it comes to powering such a big project with 1 million visitors annually, how are you making reliable electricity off-grid?
Well, thanks, Osama, for the introduction. It's great to be here. And before I begin, I'd like to thank you, Ministry of Finance, Aiib, and the Ministry of Investment for inviting us to speak on these very exciting topics throughout the day. But to answer your question, yes, we are quite proud of what we stand for and what we've been able to accomplish to date in really all aspects of the project, and are doing our best to stay as true to our word as possible as it relates to sustainability. So just as a quick update for everybody, we currently have over 10,000 workers on site and have gone vertical with construction. Again, phase one is 16 hotels, 3,000 hotel keys, and all the hard and soft and infrastructure to enable and support the destination, including a brand new airport, which hopefully we'll get to talk about a little bit today. But our first hotels will open at the end of next year. So this ambitious project is becoming a reality by the day. But yes, you're right that our project is positioned with regenerative tourism at its heart. It's embedded really in all aspects, from planning and all the way through to construction and soon to be operations. But of course, power always comes up, especially given that we live and we're building in Saudi Arabia, which, as we all know, is synonymous with being one of the world's largest producers of oil. However, our approach at the Red Sea Development Company is different. In fall 2020, we awarded our utilities package to a consortium led by Aqua Power, which will deliver our power, waste, water, and district cooling. And as part of that package, and to answer your question around reliability of electricity off the grid, we are building the world's largest battery storage facility at 1,000 megawatt hours. The battery will allow us to store energy as needed and effectively guarantee our supply. And this is completely off grid, both by day and by night. It's really never been done before. And what is even more remarkable is that we will avoid the equivalent of releasing nearly 500,000 tons of CO2 into the atmosphere per year. And for the record, for those of you who don't know, the Red Sea project will be the first tourism project of its size to be solely powered by renewable energy. And for context, in geographic size, it's equivalent to the country of Belgium as far as square meters, so 28,000 square kilometers. It's quite significant.
That is huge, and it's an inspiration to look at such a huge area being powered by solar and wind or renewable energy. But if you allow me to follow up on that, what are you going to do with the excess power generated during the low season? Is there any plan to share it with the neighboring destinations?
No, it's a good question. I mean, however, there really isn't any excess power, so to speak, because the project systems have been designed and sized to meet the overall project utilities demands. Specifically, the only off-taker is the Red Sea project, and currently there are no plans to supply other projects or other developments or destinations. Now, I'm sure some of you in the audience may be curious about Amala. Now, this project will have its own dedicated utilities infrastructure, and we'll take a very similar approach to what we're doing at the Red Sea project.
Sounds great, and thank you for sharing that, and we look forward to see the announcements in the coming weeks and months. Thank you, Gregory. Now, if I may move on to the second topic of today's discussion, which is around the concept of sustainability. As we have seen, technology-enabled infrastructure is intertwined with sustainability since the two aspects are very connected. Our next segment of questions will elaborate more on specific plans for sustainability. Mr. Haider, allow me to bring you in here again. As you know, green investments and sustainable lending is gaining major momentum within the industry and among multilateral development banks. And we can see that AIIB is showing leadership with some initiatives like the Sustainable Development Bond Framework. We also noted from the President's speech, the first landmark private equity transaction in the region, which I know you and your team have successfully delivered. Taking that as an example, can you share with us more about AIIB's approach to sustainability?
Thank you, Osama. So our institutional motto is lean, clean, and green. So green is a key focus, the core of all our investment operations activities. And sustainability is one of our 4 thematic priorities. So all the projects that we look at, all the infrastructure projects that we look at, have to be environmentally, socially, and financially sustainable. The other thematic priorities are connectivity, private capital mobilization, and financing digitally enhanced infrastructure. So staying with the sustainable infrastructure, we approach it in the following ways. On all the projects that we look at enhancing the environmental and social risk management aspects of the investment. What we'd like to achieve is attain high quality and sustainable green infrastructure investments. We have demonstrated this by our own commitment towards environmental and social investment by setting up institutional frameworks such as the Sustainable Capital Market initiative, as well as to direct investments into projects in sustainable projects. What we also do is we support upper stream sectors of green infrastructure. So we can support our members by providing facilities, financing facilities to support the green or climate adaptation, mitigation initiatives and related manufacturing projects. So we're quite flexible in the types of projects that we can support as long as they're supporting green infrastructure. And we also support green supply chains. And finally, we are very flexible and we think we are innovative in offering innovative financing solutions to impact green infrastructure development. And the private equity investment alongside the public infrastructure fund of Saudi Arabia is an example. What we've done here is we work very closely with the fund manager to develop an environmental and social monitoring system that monitors not only the underlying projects that the fund will invest into, but it's put together a framework on the basis of which all these investments will be assessed. So these are some of the approaches that we employ, not only in our own, not only employing our own standards, but also ensuring that the partners we work with, we have an agreement on the standards that we will use. Thank you.
Very clear. Thank you, Mr. Najib. And now, if Mr. Hamza, if I can come back to the Ministry of Investment. As a champion of attracting and managing foreign investments in the kingdom, to what extent do you tailor to and focus on investments or investors that come with a sustainability mentality and an approach to the kingdom?
Thanks, Osama. What we have seen over the last couple of years is a steady growth in sustainability-linked investments. And certain research suggests that when combined with rigorous financial analysis, companies with higher ESG ratings are associated with higher returns and lower risk. Taking these factors into account can be a good for business and the climate. There are obviously also green finance to increase the level of financial flows from different sectors to sustainable development priorities, which we see as an area of huge potential and where Saudi Arabia is taking active steps. Worth highlighting in this context is the NEOM Investment Fund, which aims to become a leading global investment fund focused on ESG investing, as well as the Kingdom's public investment funds and Tadawul's, the stock exchange, establishment of a voluntary exchange in Riyadh for offsets and carbon credits within the MENA region. At the Ministry of Investment, when we look at the entire investment journey, we try to ensure that we provide best-in-class support and world-class services. We also identify opportunities that align with sector strategies to develop specific investable projects working alongside the investors to determine what enablers and incentives may be required. We also take into account the impact to gross domestic product and with regards to job creation. Finally, we offer aftercare services for post-startup phase to ensure investors feel the confidence to further develop their investments in the kingdom and take advantage of additional opportunities. And I would just like to add that when we look at some of the leading success stories in the kingdom, they all revolve around continued sustainable investment. One example of this is Huawei, who has proudly been operating in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia since 2002 and views the country as a key market regionally and globally. Huawei has aligned its operations with the kingdom's development agenda and is constantly identifying ways to use its technology to support the Saudi Vision 2030, which places great emphasis on the development of the country's ICT sector. Huawei's support to the kingdom is witnessed through various activities like launching the latest solutions and technologies, supporting the Saudi youth by arming them with necessary knowledge to lead the country's ICT development, resulting in their announcement at the beginning of the year to open the largest flagship store outside of China, which will be in the city of Riyadh. This is an example of collaborating with the government entities and working closely with the operators. We look forward to more partnerships with the leading organizations to further contribute to the kingdom's growth and support its economy.
Thank you, Mr. Faisal. And these are very interesting examples that we can take a look at. Engineer Hatem, if I may ask, can you talk to us a little bit more about Riyadh and how Riyadh is using the smart city technology to enable sustainability and livability?
So if we just define the smart city strategy for Riyadh as making the Riyadh strategy citizen-centric, then that means we start at the household. So when we talk about sustainability, we're talking about making every household in Riyadh connected and smart to become resource efficient, whether this is solar panels on rooftops or even smart metering for water and electrical usage. And essentially make every household part of a digitized circular economy. And of course, there's a wider and more broader meaning for sustainability. So it's noteworthy to mention the Riyadh Smart City Agenda has been co-developed with several public sector partners. And as we go forward to and on the implementation stage, we're inviting the private sector to as well join the coalition. And then there's the opportunities to co-invest in the Smart City program, whether it's in funding projects, technology and data exchanges, or capability sharing. And then we achieve a broader sense of sustainability. Now, on livability, one of my favorite examples is smart traffic light management system in Riyadh. This is already present at some intersections with our partners in government, and we're going to proceed and have this covered the entire city. And who wouldn't love shaving 17% of their daily commute? As well, if you look at it from terms of livability and safety, imagine emergency response services being able to arrive at any spot in any place in time in Riyadh in next to no time at all, upgrading the safety and livability standards of Riyadh. So 2 examples, all citizen-centric at the household level.
Thank you, Engineer Hatem. And of course, everyone wants less time in commuting, and these are very good applications of how smart city comes to reality. If I can move on to Mr. Surabian, you mentioned a little bit about the Red Sea airport design, which I find very stunning, and the details and the thoughtful planning that comes that came with it makes us excited to see it coming. But you know that aviation is a very difficult sector to make 100% sustainable. So my question to you is, what are your plans to offset carbon emissions from visitors who are coming by airplanes? Please do share with us your vision around sustainable travel and mobility in the Red Sea destination.
Yeah, thanks, Osama. It's a completely fair question, and it's something that we hear a lot of. Before I get to the airport, just a quick update on the mobility strategy at the Red Sea project. We are doing a zero emission mobility strategy. So all of the vehicles, front of the house, back of the house, will be electric or not traditional. So we're really proud about that. But look, we've made great progress on the Red Sea International Airport to date. And it's scheduled to open with phase 1 by the end of 2023. And we are aware of the challenges presented by the aviation sector in being 100% sustainable. However, we like to believe that we have implemented policies in which will ensure that our airport operations are as sustainable as possible. So a prime example is that we've actually purposely capped our visitors to 1 million guests per year. So when all phases of the project are delivered. And this is to manage the schedule of domestic and international flights and to minimize the environmental impact which tourism brings. So at its peak, we'll see 900 passengers pass through the airport per hour. Another example is the design of the airport. So it's designed by Foster and Partners, and our airport has sustainability at the core of the brief. And the building has been designed to include shaded areas and natural ventilation to really minimize our reliance on air conditioning. And the interior will further focus on sustainability. So you'll have natural elements embedded throughout. From the get-go, the airport will have 5 mini terminals. And it's designed like this so that we can allow areas of the airport to be closed at points. Essentially, we don't operate it, or use energy during slower activity periods. And as one would expect, this reduces the need to air condition the entire airport and waste energy. Look, airports and air travel around the world, they get a bad rap. However, much like the rest of our destination, our airport will also be powered by 100% renewable energy. And I can tell you that we are even investigating suitable carbon sequestration techniques to help reduce the overall carbon footprint of the destination. So things like marine algae farms, as well as expanding key habitats like mangroves and seagrasses. Now, not sure if you knew this, but a mangrove forest sequesters up to 5 times the amount of carbon as a tropical rainforest. And these habitats are essentially natural sinkholes for carbon, which can help offset visitor emissions so people can fly as guilt-free as possible. So we're doing our best to accomplish this.
Excellent, very good plans, and exciting to hear that, because you're not only reducing emissions, you're also trying to remove them with creative ideas. Thank you, Mr. Surian, and to all our panelists for their take on the second topic. And allow me now to move on to our final discussion area around cooperation. And having looked at major plans for technology-enabled infrastructure and the integration of sustainability principles in development projects, what are the areas for cooperation where all sides could benefit from mutual expertise? And allow me now to get to Mr. Faisal Hamza. Saudi Arabia has a great potential of investment opportunities for everyone, as you mentioned. But what types of investment opportunities are you offering to the world where smart city design and sustainability principles can meet?
Thanks, Osama. Most people associate Saudi Arabia with oil, and this will continue to be a major source of energy and economic growth for our country for quite some time. However, as you've heard today, the kingdom has developed ambitious plans in many other sectors, most of which are relevant to smart cities and how we can be living in the future. 2 of these sectors are energy and water, which we see as untapped sectors for transformative opportunities. We also aim to increase the share of renewables in our energy mix to 50% by 2030, which makes sense in more ways than one, as Saudi Arabia is ranked at the very top globally for both our solar and wind energy potential. The kingdom is already advancing the development of such areas as green hydrogen, and we recently launched the largest hydrogen project in the world with investments worth almost $5 billion. This is only the beginning, because in broader terms, we wish to create an environment that fosters continuous investment and development. Vision 2030 provides a driving force to overhaul many sectors through dedicated vision realization programs that will lead the kingdom's reform efforts, also taking into account their economic and environmental sustainability impact. Take tourism, for example, which is a sector that the kingdom is building from a very low starting point. This is not only a challenge, but also an opportunity, as it allows us to ensure that tourism is built from the ground up with sustainability and conservation at its core, as Greg has mentioned. The Giga projects, which I have already mentioned, are a strong example linked to tourism. One of these is the Red Sea Development Project, which is the world's most ambitious regenerative project that targets to run 100% on renewable energy with no connection to the national grid, an unprecedented achievement for a project of that size. It will also pioneer environmental sustainability standards aligned with all 17 sustainable development goals and neutralize carbon emissions through a range of innovative approaches, as was also just discussed by Greg. Future technologies require strong infrastructure, and we can proudly say that we are building one of the largest networks globally to support Internet of Things technologies such as smart metering, smart sensors, waste management solutions, city park safety monitoring, and traffic management and analytics. So in summary, smart cities are definitely at the very top of our priorities in Saudi Arabia and a crucial factor in achieving Vision 2030, which means that many sectors are involved and essential for its success. So we see lots and lots of projects coming down the pike that are related to sustainability and smart cities.
Thank you, Mr. Hamza. And these are truly great examples we're hearing from the panelists. And if I may, Mr. Haider, get back to you, with the final question. And allow me, if I can, put in a few questions here for you to consider and address as we end this panel. You've heard these opportunities. I want to ask you, how is AIIB supporting projects in KSA and the region at large? How do you assess the investment landscape in the region when it comes to digital technologies? And what other potential investments do you see in KSA and in the region?
Thank you again, Osama. AIB's digital infrastructure strategy is the most recently approved strategy, and it provides us the ability to support a range of investments in the sector. And these span across traditional telecom infrastructure to key technologies that involve artificial intelligence. And I'll give you an example of the types of projects we're working on in the AI sector. We would like to undertake financings in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and in the region in three primary areas. So first of all, 5G and fiber. Saudi Arabia has a plan to connect 3.5 million households with fiber to the home broadband networks, as well as plans to expand the 5G footprint. In this context, we would be interested in providing financing to fund investment in 5G coverage, fiber rollout, and backhaul. So that's one area. The second one would be telecom towers. The tower market in Saudi Arabia is emerging. In particular, we followed the carve-out of tower assets by Saudi Telecom company, establishing the first passive infrastructure player in the country and one of the largest national tower companies in the region. Expanding the tower density in Saudi Arabia will be required as the 5G networks are being rolled out and implemented. So that's the second area. The third area that we think could be of interest, mutual interest with AIB, could be data centers. Saudi Arabia is looking to substantially expand data center capacity with hyperscale facilities being built across the kingdom. The goal is to surpass 1.3 gigawatts of capacity by 2030. So 5G and fiber, telecom towers, data centers are three areas that we're very keen on working with the kingdom on. And before I end, I'll give you an example of the kinds of deals that we are looking at in this sector. We've just recently board approved a transaction that will employ, we are investing in a fund with one of the leaders, global leaders in the AI space. And what the fund will do is invest minority equity stakes in operating companies and use proprietary artificial intelligence technology to improve the operating performance of these companies, thereby reducing their carbon footprint, improving efficiency, improving sustainability. So it will be, we believe it will be a very high impact investment. But that's just an example of the kinds of, we believe, innovative structures and technologies that we're looking at. And hopefully we can replicate these successes across our member countries, including Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and other Middle Eastern members. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Haider. These strategies and deals are very promising, and we look forward to hear more about them in the region and around the globe. I would like to now thank all of our esteemed panelists today for their participation. It has been such a forward-looking, rich and insightful discussion. As global citizens, we look with excitement and anticipation to the road ahead, where our cities are going to transform and chart the way in the COVID-19 era. Our panelists today are showcasing the value of investing today in smart cities to transform tomorrow's lives and livelihoods, where sustainability and technology work together to serve humanity. Thanks to our audience for joining us today, and we look forward to welcoming you again at another event. We wish AIIB and all its members a successful annual meetings, and we thank you again for having us and for tuning in. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
شكرا ومع السلامة.